this video, we're going to demonstrate how to make a hollandaise sauce. In preparation for this, I have put together a proper mise en place kit. When we're making hollandaise, we always have to use egg yolk, not whole egg. The best way I find to separate eggs from their yolks to their whites is 2 bowls set up. I have 2 eggs in my hands. 1 egg does the cracking. Whites in one side. Yolks in the other. That's all I generally do. Flat surface breaks eggs better than a sharp surface. Pull off the top, into my hand, white on one side, discard the shells, yolks on the other. You should also review the procedures for making hollandaise in your professional cooking textbook. When we begin, we have our egg yolks separated from the whites in a proper bowl. We want to be very careful about choosing a proper bowl in relation to the pan. I want the bowl to sit inside the pan in a nice way, not too far down, not too high up. And I want to have a little bit of hot water in the bottom of my pan. It's part of my mise en place kit. I have all my other pieces set up. My lemon juice, my water, my salt, and my cayenne pepper, the appropriate tools that I need, and my clarified butter. For this recipe, we're using 3 egg yolks and a cup of clarified butter. Begin by making my clarified butter hot. I've measured it out here in a measuring pitcher, and I'm going to make sure it stays warm by placing it right over the pilot light on the nearest burner to where I'm working. Make sure my stovetop is onto a fairly low to medium-low heat, and my water will be heating up while I begin the preparation. Remember that what we're working on here is an emulsified sauce, so I'm going to begin with my egg yolks, have them stirred up, whisked up to a smooth consistency. And hollandaise works best if I protect the color of the egg with a little bit of acid. I'm going to add a little bit of my lemon juice at the beginning here. Half of my lemon juice goes in at the beginning to protect the color of the egg so it doesn't turn green during cooking. Make sure I'm well mixed. I'm going to make sure also that I keep all of the egg down in the bowl so that I don't cook the egg in terms of scrambled egg. I want to cook it in terms of increasing volume. So what we're going to do is we're going to add heat right here and now by using a double boiler. We're going to add heat to the egg yolk so that the egg yolk gets cooked. We're going to bring it to someplace around 155 degrees. And once the egg yolk gets cooked, it'll be able to hold air. That air and egg yolk mixture is what we're going to add our butter into when it comes time to emulsify the butter in. So those are the steps. Begin by adding heat, bringing it to an egg yolk that looks like pudding or custard or curd. We're going to bring it all the way to that consistency. And then I'm going to add my warm but not hot butter in a little at a time, whisk it in, and then I'll season and flavor toward the end. Those are the steps. So my bowl goes on top of my pot. My pot is at a fairly warm temperature, but not too warm, and I want to be careful that there's no heat hitting the bowl directly. I want all the heat to hit the pan. And then I'm just going to start whisking. The whisking happens for a fair 2 minutes, and the bowl is getting warm. I'm going to make sure that I have a towel here to protect my hands, and I'm whisking. I'm keeping the mixture moving constantly so that it doesn't cook into scrambled egg on the side of the bowl. And I'm just going to whisk until I see that it has that creamy, custardy, vanilla pudding texture. The color of the egg changes as I go. I'm being sure that I'm whisking all the material around and in so that I don't have chunky egg yolk in my mixture at the end. Occasionally, I'm releasing the heat off of the double boiler so that I don't overheat. And if I have any egg on the side, I'm going to make sure that I tuck it back into the mixture, make sure it's all incorporated. The hotter my bain-marie, the faster this goes, but the more risk there is of overcooking the egg. Whisking as quickly as I can to make this process go as fast as possible. When I'm tired, I can switch hands on occasion. Keep whisking. I'm getting to a much thicker consistency now on my yolk. It's still a little bit runny. I make sure that I bring it to that thick, textured end point that I'm looking for so that it looks like custard or pudding again. The proper end point is a very important spot. I got a little too much heat going down there, so I'm going to turn off my double boiler and let it rest out while I finish cooking the yolk. You can see the color change is pretty drastic at this point. I'm almost to that point of the egg yolk being very custardy. And here I am. At this point, I don't need to add heat any longer. I just need to maintain heat. Oftentimes, what I'll do is I'll remove my pan with a towel underneath it to a countertop. In this case, because for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to bring my pan full of hot water here, drape a towel over the bowl. All I'm going to do now is maintain the heat that I've already created. Okay. My next step then is to add my warm butter just a little bit at a time. If you find that a ladle is more appropriate, you can do a ladle instead. I'm going to add a little bit of butter, make sure it emulsifies in. A little bit of butter, make sure it emulsifies in. When the mixture gets too thick, we're going to thin it using a little bit of water, as we would with other kinds of egg-based emulsifications. The water helps to loosen the mixture up just a bit so that the butter is more easily incorporated. This is a measured amount of butter, remember, so I can continue to add. Paying very careful attention not to overwhelm the mixture with oil, just as I would with any other emulsification. Again, I'm thickening a fair bit here. After one more addition, I'm going to add a little bit more water to loosen the mixture up again. I have measured amounts of lemon juice and water here, so I don't have to make guesses. I'm going to obviously use my palate to decide what the final thickness should be like, but I don't need to overwhelm with lemon or water, be too thin or too lemony. Incorporating the butter as we go. After I have added half of my butter, as I just have, I can add the butter in a faster fashion because I built most of the emulsification already. It's still a little thick. I'm going to thin it out one more time with my water so it doesn't get too thick. You can see that I'm adding a lot of creaminess here when I incorporate water. Our final endpoint of Hollandaise, we're looking for it to be thick but pourable. It's got to maintain its temperature of warm. That's about 115 degrees. 130 degrees and you'll probably find that your emulsion will break. So we're going to maintain it at about 115 degrees for service and while we're making it. So it's a little thicker than I would prefer it. I haven't added all the lemon juice yet, so I'll continue to add a little more of the lemon juice. Stir it in until I have a thick but pourable consistency. Pinch of salt goes in, of course. Pinch of cayenne goes in for balance. Make sure I'm maintaining a good amount of heat on the bottom of the bowl here so that I don't get it too cool. A little bit more water to have that nice pourable consistency so that it's nice and creamy on the plate. Obviously at this point I'd do tasting, as you can't taste with me. Seems sort of pointless, but you would be doing tasting at this point to look for the balance of the sauce. Does it have the proper amount of lemon? Is there a good contrast of cayenne pepper? And does it have enough salt? When we're finished, it's going to be stored properly, not kept hot, but not cold either, and it only keeps until we're done with service for that day. And the window is between 2 and 3 hours for how long we can keep hollandaise. Thank you very much.